Hey there, how's it going? This is bigSHow, theGod. I haven't posted for a little while. Been enjoying myself actually. So what I thought I'd do today, got a bit of time. Been to the gym. Thought I might start myself off with a pillar update. So I'm into, I frame them as pillars, and if you've seen some of my other stuff, pillars for me is health. Health is broken down into physical health and a bit of mental health. So that's a pillar sort of bunched together. And then I have career as a pillar, finances as a pillar, and relationships. I frame it as a pillar. So those are I used to call them bones. They're my bones. I strengthen my bones. I use them as, and I figuratively, pillars are the same concept for me. And I pillars to the building, or pillars to anything. The more I strengthen the pillars, the better the structure is. Like a trunk of a tree in the forest. But anyway. So I measure myself on pillars monthly, sort of a bold from that, and I rate myself. I don't know how I come across that. I seem to have just done it. Might be someone else doing it. I don't know. But anyway, so every month I just give myself a rating. I do a bit of a journal sort of thing. Got it on here where I'll just put each pillar down and give myself a rating. Actually, I've got a sheet where I do a before and after. Where is it? Pillars monthly. Here we go. Right. So I've got pillars monthly, and then I can look at what I rated myself last month, and then how I rate myself this month. And so I can go, in actual fact, I've got this month's, which I did 2 weeks ago. I can, as I mentioned there, I can look at last year's and how much I've done for one year for no particular reason. Yeah, so that's how I do it. That's the structure of the pillars. And there's some whys to it. The whys are, they relate to my goals. They relate to looking for any blind spots, any areas that I'm not doing what I said I would do. I'm quite good at tracking myself sort of unconsciously or out of tracking myself with some form of accountability and responsibility and some type of ownership to what I said I would do, how I review myself, and how I'm actually tracking, rather than just graphing it. So most of this is to pull in how I'm dealing with myself emotionally as well. It's not just a math problem most of the time, you know. What I mean by that is, like with finances, say, you can do math. I can do mathematics in finance, but generally the reasons why I'm not doing something is generally emotional, because even even though I can physically do it. I could physically not do something or do something. I didn't. Right? And so what's the influence? And so the influence, in my opinion, is generally emotional. Generally there's an emotional influence there, which I'm not going to get away from, and that's okay. It's just self-awareness of being able to see that that's what's happening. That's what I'm doing, and that gives me an opportunity to either do something different, or actually as confirmation of carrying on doing what I do. It's really, for me, it's quite a good abstract thing, because life happens in between, right? So life's happening to me all year. If I just use a calendar year as a reference, from each pillar is affected. Physically, I'm affected from injuring a foot, from getting sick, from those two of the big ones, I guess. From that's physical. But then there can be the mental side, is not motivated, not low energy, sleep, lack of sleep, whatever is going on there can impact each one. So being injured can impact, will impact stuff, right? So it's about, if I'm measuring and monitoring it and being accountable for it, I'm able to take the hits. Being injured is like taking a hit. Being spending money on something that I didn't plan for, if you're aware of it, is taking a hit. An unexpected expense is taking a hit. It's how I deal with that. A lot of it's emotionally, how you deal with it, how you deal with being injured, how you deal with money decisions, or how you deal with relationships with your children not talking to you, or your mum calling you something. All those have an impact, whether you like it or not. They're influences. So, in my opinion, what's working with this structure is that I get the opportunity to kind of just reflect every month, regardless of what's going on today, now, right? And which is awesome about the system, is that it brings me back to today all the time. And it doesn't matter how I feel about the last month, I get an opportunity to express them, to sing them out, to be honest about them, and then look for a pattern in behavior, a pattern in what I might call pattern of excuses. For me, what excuses I'm continuing to make. Are they the same ones? Are they different? Are they actually reasons? Which, there's reasons for everything, correct? There's reasons why I spent money on that. There's reasons why I was injured. There was reasons why I didn't do something today. I didn't exercise, or if I didn't do that. There can be reasons around them, but this gives me the ability to watch through those reasons and see, are those reasons valid? Are those reasons excuses? Are they culminating? What's going on, right? So transcends through all of it. Just what I say to everyone is that the unfortunate thing is everything's connected to some level, even if you don't think it is. It generally has cause and effect, pull and power, just how you work through those things. So anyway, it's all right. Let's do that then. We'll go through the pillars of this month. Should I start with this month? or should we have a bit of a track? What's up in here? Let's track back. Let's go back to last year. See what the pillars said then. Here we go. Here's last year. So in a year I've changed the color scheme a little bit, but generally the structure's there. So here was December and January. So here's your full Decembers. And I rated myself here an 8.2 out of 10 for my career. Right? And I rated myself, and so on. Finances. Oh, I missed one here. I've got a pillar for learning. I backed myself. What learning did I do overall each month? Oh, this is compared to last month, and in general, what am I doing each month? So learning's a key. The reason I got learning is learning's a real key thing for what is learning. So it requires, what does it require to learn? And in my opinion, it requires listening. It requires thinking, being skeptical about what you already know. You know, so there's quite a bit in learning. And then there's evidence of applying what you've learned. So that's how I rate myself with learning. You know, anything I learn, it's usually a symbol of learning is change. You know, people say I learned something, but then if you don't change, and it can be something that's this big or something massive, change your whole food regime, I don't know, change your whole environment, I don't know. There's some learning in that. That's what it means to learn to me. So even though I say learning, it's quite a, it's not as simple as that. I've even color coded it so that if I improved, I did a certain color from the last month. So this was an 8.1 career the following month. So here is where we're at, and so on my review I actually break them down. I've got nutrition, learning, relationships, career. So I break them a little bit more. So a year ago, let's just do that. So a year ago, 8.2, what I've rated myself. Now, 12 months later, see, I mean, these are only personal, my own individual ratings based on as much as I could each month of other people's feedback, stuff that was in my calendar each month. I guess with career, the way I might measure career would be KPIs, key performance indicators. How much am I doing towards those? How many of those steps have I taken, honestly taken, from different sources of feedback? So it gets quite involved to actually even increase one pillar. It can't just be the same, but it can be indications of discipline, consistency, actual steps taken, milestones. All that stuff can be bundled in to get you up a piece, or you know, sometimes you have drop a piece or a grade. So these are just constantly moving grades. So I rated myself as 8.2 12 months ago, and here I am today. This month I rated myself as a 9.4. That's a 1.2 increase from 12 months ago on a career perspective. And so on this sheet here, I can overview my career of what I've done. And I know most of this has been relationship based, most of it. Discipline based. I was pretty disciplined then, a year ago. But you see here I've managed to measure 12 months. I can keep going back another 12 months and I might be in 7s and 6s. So the rating system is really good for that. So that's a cool one. So that's how I rate myself with career. Rate myself quite freaking highly, don't I? I guess they all go together. And that's the piece. They generally all go together. That's what I love about it. You generally, I mean, you could have, have a lot of growth in fitness, say physical fitness and let's say nutrition. You have a lot of growth there in those two, but have no growth or negative growth in finances and career, to be honest. Because maybe that's all you're doing. That's all you're focusing on. That's what you're into. That's where your head's at. Nothing wrong with that. I just like to be aware. If I know that's what I'm doing, then I know. I think it's a bit better than just sort of blowing in the wind. I mean, I've said it before. The only reason I'm reasonable on finances, I just think finances is another example. They all go together, but finances for me is a word that's like opportunity. It's options. It's opportunity and options go together. It's independence. I don't look at earning lots of money as being that money's everything. I definitely don't. But it definitely, from what I experience for my existence, that money or gives me the opportunity to have the freedoms and the choices and the emotional decisions that I make, even as difficult as they are. I guess allow me to do it. They allow me the freedoms to go and do whatever I want to do. I mean, it's still within a structure, and I don't think there's a right and wrong way to get there, but there is a measurement system. There is a level. There's a level of cost required for me to exist, whether I like it or not, right? In the current planet, if I look at Africa or different countries and go, well, there's a cost for that person. It's not a lot, but there's the cost. Water. There's the minimums. So there's that, and then there's minimums for what I would consider a general human being to exist. Some sort of shelter, some sort of nutrition, some sort of water, shelter thing. You know what I mean? But I don't know if the opportunities present themselves as clearly in that position. Feels like the survival mode is quite like locked in there. And I think the more routine we can become and normalized to how we are, we might say, well, that's the same that can be said the same right now. Well, not right now, for myself. Well, what do you mean by opportunity? Well, I go, well, if the income that's coming in is more than what I need to survive, it's an opportunity to do what's with the income to either give to someone else that those same things, or store for myself later. I mean, both of those are an opportunity. Both of those I can consciously do. Because the reality is I'm consciously doing something now with whatever happens, right? But the more I measure and read and function with this type of system, I can make my next decision. It seems like it's a lot more planned and known, even though it may feel like there's some unknown. You know, my next decision is based on some type of reasonable level of evidence. Which is what I constantly try to do here. Is constantly try to go, what evidence do I have? What evidence do I have for that? And then make sure my emotions aren't totally into that. Which can, does have its difficulties because I'll overthink it. At least it's not underthought. I'm not underthinking it. I'm overthinking it. Over planning versus not planned, under planning. I prefer over planned, I think. I think the worst thing that happens with over planning is that your fears might build up and might release more emotional chemicals, which might tend to lead to fear and keep you comfortable, which is another piece, right? It's to challenge that comfortability as much as you can, and that ain't easy. And that's where this sort of stuff helps, actually, for me anyway. So yeah, so that's how the system works. So so if we jump into so career, I'm up a lot. Let's have a look at my fitness from a year ago. 8.6, I'm at 8.9. So 3 steps out of 12 months. I know there's a lot of ups and downs with injuries, some challenges with injuries, especially for the last 6 months. I know that much. And here they're actually highlighted here from a year ago. So it's been lingering around, these injuries. And yet, that's the point here, right? I'm still right now at an 8.9 as opposed to an 8.6 back then. 12 months. You know, the problem with me with fitness is how to go up a point. I'm 8.9 now. It stays at 8.9 or it drops to 8.8 because of it doesn't go up unless there's something decent happening. You know, and with a fitness, or I'm playing sport 4 or 5 times a week. I'm going to the gym 6 times a week, and in that is cardio and strength and whatever. For me to go up a notch, I'm not sure what it takes. Or what it takes is something, and it's got to be consistent for a while, otherwise it drops down again. So yeah, so I end up challenging the rating system as well to get some type of ceiling with some room for me to mentally improve or mentally motivate myself to challenge myself to get where I'm at, to get myself closer to a 10 for where I'm at. It's not for someone else. I realize this graph is purely me rating myself. Someone else can rate me all they want. It's interesting information, and they can say right or wrong. I think what I've done with the fitness thing is I might have body shape and go, well, if I can drop a couple of some fat in certain areas, I'd go up a notch for that. I'll tell you that much. So it's might be more those areas. But as long as my fitness is up high and I'm moving okay and I'm breathing all right to a good level, and that's still in the wheelhouse, and then having my body fat get a bit better, those types of things, that would be able to get me up a bit higher, definitely. Like I said here with nutrition, seems to be quite a similar number, 8.5. What's my nutrition now? 8.9. It's the same thing. Being consistent. I'm intermittent faster. I'm reasonable at it. I'll go most days. I won't eat till 3, maybe 4. I eat a general dinner. I eat fruit, veggies. I don't really stray too far off that. Probably the worst thing I have is peanuts and maybe some type of sugar here and there, mixed amongst that couple hours, but nothing to lose sleep over. I do question myself most weeks to say, well, can I knock those out? I'm sitting at an 8.9 now, which is about right. I'm pretty consistent, and that's the thing, right? Is that I gotta. This allows me to think about those things further and deeper, and go, what's going to get me from an 8.9 to a 9? What's going to get me from a 9.5 to a 9.6? Make an adjustment, make a change. If I stay the same, it probably won't. So those little bits of time to spend on each pillar it's quite motivating, to be honest. What's really motivating is here, I'm reviewing December last year and seeing the difference in my graphs. Here I am for the first time doing a comparison of 1 year. This is a massive pillar for me, is relationships. And look at me already, I'm at a 9.1 in my opinion of myself with relationships. What am I now? I'm at a 9.5. Yeah, well, 4 is not a lot. It's a freaking lot for me. From relationships, knowing 12 months ago, if I read up on myself on relationship, it was a decent level. As I mentioned before, I can go through every important relationship in my life and know exactly where I'm at with it. To my perspective, and to be 4 up, I think a lot of that's come from the career move. So I've built teams and relationships with people, and forming relationships with the people in a career level impacts this relationship level. This isn't just family and friends, this is career relationships. So that's influenced that, which has kept me motivated to keep going with my other most important people in my life. So that's a big one for me, the relationships one. It's one I've worked at the most, if I'm honest. You know, because fitness and health and nutrition and stuff, it's kind of a rinse and repeat style. It's a moving target, which so is relationships. But putting some extra energy and focus into those has paid off across all those. So that's huge. I didn't realise it was that much. From a 9.1 to a 9. And a lot of it might just be my behaviour. A lot of it just might be what am I doing within the relationships or within myself, and then sharing and how I'm dealing with it. How do I deal with stuff that used to turn me to behave a certain way? So an example of that might be one of my children doesn't respond to me sharing something. Whether I like it or not, I can dwell on that. And that can have me react slowly or in a certain way of not doing something. Right? I won't share something with them. Go, haven't heard from them, move on. Almost to, not a cutting off stage, but definitely a change in what I'm doing based on the response of someone else. And all that was a lack of response from my perspective. Alright? So in my opinion, they didn't respond. Where's the fucking rule that they've got to respond to everything you suggest, or everything you send, or everything you inquire or share or ask about? Where's that written? Correct? And that's my growth, not no one else's. It's no one else's growth but mine. It's hard. It's difficult. It's difficult for me. You know, I could push myself in there again and say, hey, why haven't you? And why, what, where? How come? I'm analysing. Oh, is it because of this, because of that? I can do that to my friends. I can do that to anybody. Not true, potentially. Where's your validation for that? But ultimately, the self-awareness of going, why am I taking on all that? Why am I? What can I do? What you can do is work on the feelings and the emotions of someone not responding. And I don't know why they didn't respond until they tell me, until there's some more indication. But not responding is not enough evidence. It's just not enough yet. It can contribute to the evidence over time, don't get me wrong. But if I stay open, engaged, and I continue to share, that's all I can do. But the more I can do is to not come in with this armored up this offensive attitude, or angry or negative. That I can control too. Doesn't stop me from being honest. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to be honest at some point. But the point here is to be self-aware of both, of all of it. Take responsibility for all of it, not just justifying that, oh, because they did that to me, that's why I'm doing this. When the other person doesn't even know that yet, that's what you've taken on board. Because now they're going to think that too. So what, we're both going to think. And next thing you know, I haven't talked to you for 10 years. You know. So that's the battle I do with the relationships one is the most challenging one for me that I can visually see. Which, in a weird way, it's the same for all the pillars. All the pillars are challenging as fuck. They're all connected and are fucking challenging. Every one of them. To change your nutrition this afternoon is, for me, is fucking tough. to change, to do more exercise tomorrow is hard. To do more, to make cutbacks in finances, or to invest in something else, or to cut back on spending somewhere else is freaking difficult, right? Every one of these is freaking difficult. But that's the beauty of it. The structure identifies them, just so they're difficult. Difficult if you want these numbers to change, that requires something to happen for those numbers to change, then they are difficult. If you fucking want to avoid them and just ignore them and leave them as they are, or not even have a number, I guess life is fine. Just keep it in your head. Well, that's what I end up having. I mean, look, this may be a disorder of mine, I don't know. But I know they're out of my head. This graph I'm doing here about a year ago, it's out of my head. I put it out of my head. Now I can read it quite comfortably, and I can relate to this and go, that's probably what I was thinking a year ago. I wrote down. That's a reasonable amount. I can go into here, and I can go the same. Actually, I can go the same December. I've got it dated here. So here's the 3rd of the 9th. So what do I want? I want 2020. Let's see if 2020 is on here. That's how good this sheet is. Where are we at? March 2021. I think I wrote them on a different sheet. But anyway, I've got the graphs to show. I've got more documented memories that I've written down in my notes to refer to bring exactly what's happened 12 months, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years. That's the beauty of the system. And that's kind of the work, really. So those are some interesting ones. Let's go. We've done that. Finances is a good one. Here we go. 12 months. I gave myself an 8.4. Let's bring up 12 months ago what financial situation I was in. Oh, no. What have I done? We'll bring up December 2020. December 2020. Here we go. So we got December 2020. Right. Now, I rated myself 8.4 in December 2020 with finances. Okay. Let's move myself up. So I gave myself an 8.4, and then the following month, finances, actually gave myself an 8.3, so we dropped a little bit. They were probably from expenses. But here you go, this is how the chart was made up. We had that much in savings, KiwiSaver was about there, our house value and debt was about that. We had a net worth of 850 according to these sorts of numbers. today, 12 months finances are 9.4. So a full grade. It means 10. It's pulled 10 up. And that's just in finances, right? So at 8.4, this wasn't bad from areas. So what some of the highlights I've gone. So there's that versus that, right? So if I bring that over there just for a sec, you can see the difference. It's 12 months ago, it's today. Well, we had cash in the bank here, and we've got less cash in the bank here, right? But we've I've invested it into here, and I've just increased the graph here for incrementally, and now we've got a net worth of that. So that's a 500, quite a big up with net worth value, almost $500,000. A lot of that though is the house increase. So and in a 12-month cycle, we've put a new bathroom in, which happened after this. So that's what the cash was for. I pulled out 30k, I think, for that bathroom, but we threw 50k into here. See this here? That doubled, but we cash injected that. Oh, well, a big piece of it anyway. And my one's just gone up based on the interest and stuff I put in there. But it's all the small adjustments that we've made have accumulated from a 9.4. So that's what I was 12 months ago, and here I am now in the same pillar. And even how I report it, see how I'm reporting it better or different? Those were all because of me reviewing it constantly. Even how I break it down, what's happening. It's now broken down to 3, rather than what's this gap here. It's all included. That's your expenses. That's your mortgage payment. And that green is storage or investing. So we're investing and storing a good percentage of our income, up 43%. And I've made a big goal here to pay off. This is our debt. So I really highlighted what debt we have, which is a mortgage debt. 370k. So the plan is to knock that out. Knock that down to 0. So I've marked out in years and months at the current rate of payment. So we're paying about 50k a year off this. So what I'm planning to do, because the house is pretty much where I want it and things are where they want, we're gonna put more in it, put more of this to that to get that down to 0, which then increases this, so that and we continue to invest. So we're investing about 10-12% here a year. We're adding 10-12% plus the interest we get off that stuff, and then we're using portions of it to get rid of this. Now I've had a big debate with myself and based on what other people. That's an interest-free mortgage, and so that stirs up a lot of debate. So when something's interest free, you go, well, why pay it off quicker? So that's my dilemma. Because my logic is that's still a payment that we're making. If we get rid of that quicker, then all of this, so then what happens to this is we go from 42% to 70, almost 75, how much percent is it? 40, 43, and 34. So that's 34% here is going into our mortgage. That's the mortgage payment, $1,000 a week. So you take that 1,000, as soon as that, we're not doing it to here, plus this, all this. So it's 40, 70, 77% of this stuff. It's actually more, because that's our take-home pay. 77% of this can go towards either this or whatever, investing. So these are the things I work through myself and try and challenge myself on and get more evidence and get more clarity. Because the other opportunity I have is to put a rental on the property, which would have a cost, and I've broken that down, which would impact this whole chart as well. So that's why I do this. So I've got exact plans on here now of what so there's 12 months ago, here's the reality of today. So that's 12 months ago, that's today. That's what actually happened. There's your numbers, and every decision we made is equal to exactly an outcome of that. Whatever the choices were done. It makes no difference what the numbers are. These are factual numbers. Very important that these are factual numbers. Okay, everything here is factual. It's to my ability. So now here's my picture today. What I do is I can go now forecast. What's the picture look like? I have 3-year goals. So what's the picture look like in 2024? As far as I've gone. So it's the picture today. Picture a year ago. Picture today. What does the picture in 2024 look like? So let's do that. So here's today. Here's 2024. And now this is based on doing the exact same thing. That's the beauty of forecasting with a model that's clear. Now I can just clearly say this is where we're going to be in 3 years without stuff happening or changes, and be reasonably accurate. If I do nothing, if I just got up every day and did what I was doing the same way and nothing else changed, or my income stayed the same, the wife stayed the same, income wise, numbers wise, and then habits wise of where our spending goes. So forecasted spending, what we plan, what opportunities we've seen are not included in this analysis here. It's just raw forecasting until that decision's made. So what I do is if the decision's made, then I can put it in here. If it's not made, it can't go here. I can't go, oh yeah, 3 years now I'm gonna, this is the number. Well, no, that's a different model. If it's got different decisions that are being made. If a decision's made, then I create another sheet. There's another sheet for if we make decision number 1 or A. Decision A, here's the model. Decision B, here's the forecast. Decision C, decision D. And these are happening all the time. So that 12 months ago sheet that I showed you, this was all the decisions made between those 12 months led to this sheet that's there today. So today's sheet has got every implication of decisions that were made. Now I can model and forecast a bigger decision happens, and it may be the fact that we go, if I want to go, right, instead of, so we've got this much money in here, I'm going to go, right, instead of paying that off here, right, with some of that, I'll take 50k of that and stick it in here. Right? If I do that, if I physically do that, this model changed instantly. So that would have a different number, and the rest would probably stay the same, to be honest. It's just a movement from here to there. So this number would reduce, obviously, and that number would increase. So there's those sporadic little changes I can do, and then I can look at what it did to the net worth. What did it actually do? Now you'd argue a $50,000 movement from that to there over 12 months or 3 years at 8% interest would add that 8% interest to that, because here it doesn't add it. I can add 8% interest more logically in an investment, right? Whereas if it takes it off here, it just takes it off the bottom line. It's just a straight negative accounting. So we're going to be in here. If I put the 50k here over to here, that would be 100 and something thousand, 190, right? This would only be, well, this would be minus 50, so it would be 230,000, correct? If I didn't do anything. So just doing that, me going, okay, if we stay the way we are, we're going to have this. Well, what are we doing with that? It's just sitting there for 3 years. Well, that's not smart, is it? So decisions should be made. Either you push that there, or you push that there. There's no point at sitting there. These are the things I gotta wrestle with. But I wrestle with them now, and I can have the forecasts to support or validate or change my decision, or just go, okay, I'm leaving it like this. It would be weird if 3 years from now it looked like this. This is the forecast I'm on. This is the path I'm on now if I leave it. See, I've got predicted on these numbers, predicted increase because of the interest rate. There ain't no predicted increase in this interest rate because it would be marginal. You can actually put, what is it, 1%, 2%? That might be slightly higher. It's either here or there. So yeah, so a big bit is to always have a current status, and then you adjust your current, then you've changed your future. And that's my metaphor. That's the bit I love about this. This shapes my future. This is what I was talking about before, with opportunities, with living today and forecasting the future. I'm present all the time. Well, that's my opinion. So I can live in the moment. I can enjoy today. I have joy today. I'm very, very motivated and encouraged and optimistic and positive every day, based on knowing and planning and preparing and just doing the work and looking at these sorts of things, and knowing, even just me looking at last year to this year, I'm filled with, you know, a sense of achievement. Yet, all I did was look at my current and look at what my future could be. And now I just did it then, in live and real. That was a year ago. And I'm able to do that all the time. I'm able to do that in any pillar, in any example, from fitness to thing. I might go 6 months ago. During that 6 months, I had injuries. I had all these things. I can look at all those injuries and look at those. And I look at today. Okay, and be reminded of what I went through, what journey I went on, what path and tracking that happened to me over that time. From all of it, even from, I know how many times I contacted my kids, each individual one, what conversations I've had with each one of them, what conversations I've had with people at work, my friends, closer friends, distant friends, my cousins. I can pull out with this type of style, with the digital technology I have and is available to anybody. I can look at every conversation I've had with everybody that I know, especially digitally. And then even when I sit here and have conversations with them, or they have conversations with me, I make little notes on the relationship part. So I'm able to say I had a conversation with, you know, Lance yesterday, or someone else, even here, a year ago. I've got the same time. I had a catch up with this guy, my brother, catch up with a cousin, catch up with mum. That's December 2020. I had 2 catch ups with my brother, another one with my son, Titan, a friend Lance, my sister's family. And these are catch ups, these are like one-on-one discussions. I put them down. And even some of them I put highlights, some of them have a note to it. If I went and looked at my journal on that day, on the 25th, they'd be in there and there would be some sort of reference, which helps reaffirm the conversation I had. But even me being able to trigger and look at that and go, oh, that's right, I remember that now. No, that's okay. And I'm visually there, not just from this little tag, but from the notes that I recalled and wrote down at the same time, or within the same day. And that process keeps going. So I'm able to recall those conversations and what ideas we had, what things they were looking to do. I can sit with them in 2 minutes and it starts bringing it back. Because of my little notes, references, brings back, oh, you were planning this, you were planning that, how's that going? I'm more engaged. These are still conversations we had. I'm just using tools and technology to help me recall that. And keep talking about it. You can even say, oh, 2 years ago, what were you doing with me? We did that. You know? So, that's the beauty of this. It does look like a lot for some people. Looks like a lot. I notice when I share this with other individuals around me that are important to me or want to know or we discuss, I do look like a lot from the feedback I've been given with different individuals. And I understand. I get it. Not everybody's like me, which is great, because you don't want to be like me. You want to be like yourself. You want to have all your stuff. It'd be advisable to do some of the things I do, I think, because I've done quite a bit from a non-measured system to the system that I've evolved into today. So yeah, I think that's a good update. I've been going an hour. My future self is another thing that I seem to do now. My future self will appreciate this. This option to share who I am, what I am, from a 2021 perspective to a quick review of 2020. I didn't go too detailed. I can go a lot more, I can go a lot less. But I guess some of the learning that I've even done in more recent months I'm using right now was a statement I just said. My future self will thank me for reading this stuff, for doing this stuff, will want to know about it, will be interested in it, because my future self is going to go, wow, that was a year ago. Next year, and that was 2 years ago, that was 7 years ago, that was 9 years ago. That chart I showed you was my financial status 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago. And look at it today. What is it today? Is it the same? Is it what it was? Is it what I predicted? That's the beauty. I don't know. Right? It's actually, some of those were better. You know, I were better than I predicted. How good is that? You know, if I'm doing better than I predicted, none of this was negative. None of this is meant to be debilitating and mentally harming. It's all about progress and opportunity and self-awareness. But it does come with ownership, accountability, responsibility, discipline, things of that nature. It comes with the territory. It comes with the price of admission. I've even heard that say. And I love those phrases. You know, stress is there whether you want it or not. You can frame anything to anything. It's still just a perspective. What I do know, if I keep doing what I currently do, I'm going to keep having what I currently have. What I currently have is fucking awesome. I know that every day, and I've been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years, and my life is fantastic. And you can say, well, that's quite absolute, that's quite abstract, and quite thing, but when you're on a journey to greatness, the journey is great. And the hits I take, the comments, the personal bits and pieces, they're all part of it. And I enjoy all of it. My environment is what I create. No one else. No one else creates it for me. Someone else may change it. Someone else may think it for aligned from a physical standpoint, from one or two pieces of it. It might disrupt the energy flow, but that doesn't last. Nothing's lasting. You know, it's all about how I move through it, in my opinion. The latest one is the big one for me, is I only can control what I have control of. I cannot control the weather. I cannot control daylight or sunlight. I can't control the moon. I can't control what the government or what President of America or some other country, or any of that stuff. I cannot control, change, choose any of that stuff. So those, to me, I'm allowed to be annoyed by it. I'm allowed to vent it. I can be angry for a moment. I can be frustrated, but that's it. Now it's what's next. What can I do? I cannot stop it raining. I cannot tell my children to do a certain thing or to be somewhere. I can ask them, I can suggest to them, but I cannot make them be anything. And that's great. You know what I can do is what I can do. I can have the self-awareness of that. I can realize that. And I can keep moving. Positively, progressively. I ain't spending too much time on dwelling on what you did or didn't do. I dwell on what I did or didn't do. The good thing is, once I stop dwelling on what you did or didn't do, I stop dwelling on what I did or didn't do. You know what I dwell on? It's what I did do. I look at what I did do. And what I did do is positive and progressive. And now, oh, I did more. Beautiful. Not focusing on what I didn't do. That's there. Don't get me wrong. It's not it's not, I'm not avoiding it or devoid of it. I'm actually balancing them both out. The problem with dwelling on what I didn't do, what I could have done, what I should have done, where does that get you? It's like worrying. What does it do? What positive outcome comes from me dwelling on what I didn't do? Or the other one about what I did do was that I did eat too much from what I thought, what I planned to do. So you got I did or didn't. From, well, I can look at what I did do. I did eat all that. Then own it. I did it. It's still a do. I did it. Okay, I plan to not have it then. Tomorrow, you didn't have that. Beautiful. Log it, see it, keep moving. No, there's no level of dwelling on this, dwelling on that. And that's probably the biggest thing for the whole 12 months and maybe the last couple of years that I've managed to shape. And this progressive tracking and changing in my life has led me to this. So I'm optimistic about the next 12 months from all the pillars that I do. And if I structurally stay consistent with how I'm doing and make changes that the evidence leads me to do, I'm probably going to be greater than I am today. See that? I'm already great. I'm heading for greater.